The instrument test is said to be the hardest exam that you take as far as your writtens whenever you're getting your licenses to become a pilot. Today, I'm going to discuss my prep for that, as well as I'm on my way to go and take the test. We'll talk about how that goes. I'm going to a new test facility, what I score, and what I'm going to do for the next two tests that also correlate with this one. The three-letter code for this one is IRA. If you have looked around, you've probably seen that it also correlates with a couple other ones. So the FII, which is the Flight Instructor Instrument, as well as the IGI, which is the Ground Instructor Instrument, if you're looking to get a gold seal. So after doing a little bit of research, currently, you only need to get either the Ground Instructor Instrument or the Advanced Ground Instructor in order to qualify yourself, at least testing wise, to be able to get the gold seal for your instructor license, which is just kind of a nice little boost on your resume, and you also get a cool little gold seal, right? But there's some other things that go along with it. You know, you have to have a certain amount of students pass for how many, I guess percentage wise, and there's a set minimum of like 10 or something like that. So, but that is way down the road. Today we're just getting prepped. So I am leaving the Wilmington area and I'm going down to Myrtle Beach to take my test today. I am going to use the ferry, so it'll be nice to be able to get about 30 minutes or so worth of kind of study time that I'll have before I get down there. So my other video, I told you guys, make sure that you get there early, especially if you haven't been there before. Right now, my test is set for 1 p.m. today, and I think I should get there around noon. So that should give me more than enough time if I hit traffic or any other delays. If I get down here and the ferry's not running and I need to drive around, any of those type of things, I now have the built-in time prepared for. Also, it allows me to do some last minute studying once I get there, make sure I find the place, I don't get turned around, right? Any of those type of things. So really make sure you do that on your test day. Also, check PSI on a fairly regular basis. In preparation for this test, I was looking to sign up probably a day or two before, and I saw that my local testing site had some openings. I wasn't really sure if I would be able to be prepared in time for those, so I didn't take those times that were available, and I kind of waited until I was ready, and then those times had gone again. So if you've got a popular kind of testing site in your area, if you just kind of check it out daily, people are constantly, canceling and things like that. So just because there's not one available immediately doesn't mean that there won't be one available later. The first time I checked, the first one was available like April 8th, right? And today is March 27th, and then a week later, there was one that was actually available for tomorrow, but it got taken. Give you guys a quick summary of my tests, or kind of my study schedule. So I took my last private pilots, the PPL. I did that on Tuesday, March 19th. And then I got access finally to King's Ground School because of the Part 141 requirements of the school that I'm going to. I had to get my certification of completion of the King's Ground School when I previously had used Sporty. So for 2 days I was doing that, just getting that. Friday, I was actually able to fully immerse myself into the instrument in King's. Saturday and Sunday, I've got family, so there was a little bit of time for studying. I would say my wife was gracious enough to probably give me a couple of hours each day in order to do some of those. But then really Monday and Tuesday, I spent all day doing it and kind of qualified myself. And so Tuesday afternoon, I signed up for the test today. That's kind of a summary of my, study schedule and things like that. I really haven't hit into the 90s on my practice test, but the reason why I'm kind of going ahead and taking the test today is because I do feel confident enough that I will pass it. Probably in the 80s is what I'm shooting for. That's what I got on the private pilots. But this weekend is Easter weekend, and I have to go to Houston to pick up a car and drive it back. My whole weekend is shot, and I start school April 22nd. So, and I've got 3 more tests that I need to take. after I finish this run of tests. So I really want to make sure that I get everything in and done before I start school on the 22nd. And I know I'll be able to feel much more comfortable and relaxed this weekend, knowing that I've got 4 of the 7 tests that I need to take already completed. So I'm about to get it to the ferry now. I'm gonna spend some time studying, and I'll catch up with you guys at the test center. Just got to the testing center. It's a good thing that I got here a little bit early. I use Waze probably 95% of the time when I'm driving in. However, it was about 2 miles off of where I was supposed to be. So even though that was only about 5 or 10 minutes, it can cause a lot of anxiety when you're already feeling a lot of anxiety and a little nervous. So double check your GPS if you're coming in like I did, and make sure you're coming to the right spot. That'll help you as well. So I'm going to study up for just a little bit. I ran in, used the restroom real quick. They said that they're ready for me when I'm ready. It is noon now. My appointment was at 1. So let's sit here, review a few things. Then I'm going to jump into the test center, and I'll see you guys after I take the test. Wish me luck. So I just got done, and that was literally the hardest test I've ever taken in my entire life. And I'm not being overly dramatic. It was extremely hard, and I ended up with a 70, so I passed. But obviously, that is by the skin of my teeth that I passed this test. When I completed it, I was not expecting to pass. It was extremely difficult, and all the practice tests that I had been taking, a lot of them, were about some navigations and regulations and things like that. But basically my entire test was approach plates and departure plates, and not just some of the easier things, I think, touchdown zones or elevations or some of the minimum things, right? It was really nitty gritty stuff, and it was very difficult. So if I can give anybody any piece of advice, it is to really drill down and study the hell out of the approach plates and the departure plates, and really get those down. That was an extremely hard test. So even though I got a 70 and I wanted to be in the 80s, I'm just happy that I passed at this point. Because like I said, when I stood up from completing it, I really didn't think that I was going to pass that test. So I'm going to go home and really study the heck out of my approach and departure plates and try and get that down as best I can, because I've got 2 more that I'm going to take tomorrow. So I'm going to take the Flight Instructor Instrument as well as the Ground Instructor Instrument tomorrow up in New Bern. So gonna drive home, take some deep breaths, be grateful that I was able to just pass this thing, honestly, at this point, and study my plates. And that is my biggest piece of advice: study your plates. So I will catch up with you guys tomorrow, and we'll see how I feel about approach and departure plates then. I am at my testing center the next day already. Last night, if you haven't seen any of the other videos, my oldest daughter has special needs, and so she had a really rough day at night, and I just didn't get as much studying done as what I wanted to. So basically the whole ride up here over the last 2 hours, I've just been listening, trying to get caught up, and hoping that I've got enough now, a better grip on my approach and departure plates to take my next test. So I've got 2 tests that I'm going to take today. It is 8:30 now. At 9 o'clock is my first test, and then 1 p.m. is my next test. The first one that I'm going to take is the FII, so the ground, or not the ground instructor, that's the second test. The first one that I'm going to take is the Flight Instructor Instrument, the FII, and then I'll do the Ground Instructor Instrument is the IGI at 1. I don't know if they'll let me just kind of go ahead and take the next one. It'll probably depend kind of on their testing schedule and what their availability of, of computers and stuff like that are. But I will definitely let you guys know. Again, I don't think I mentioned this yesterday when I went in, but the two things you can kind of bring in with you are your plotter as well as your E6B calculator. So I've got both of those that I'm going to bring in. Make sure you bring your ID for the IRA that I took yesterday. I also needed an endorsement. The ones that I'm taking today do not need endorsements. So that's another thing that you'll need to bring in with you, just kind of depending on, how you've done your stuff with your school and things like that. So that's where we're sitting at. I'm going to try and review a few things before I go in there. You're supposed to check in about 15 minutes beforehand. So I'm going to try and check and just review a couple more things before I go in. Pretty nervous since I made a 70 on the last one. With these two, I've just been told that it's basically the same test bank. So I'm hoping that with all the review and everything like that, that I'll be able to pass both of them today, but need all the well wishes and prayers and anything like that that you're willing to offer up. I will certainly take at this point. So I'm going to study up, go check in, take my first one, and I will catch up with you guys after that. All right, so I just got done with both of my tests. So they didn't kind of let me go ahead and take them back to back, and I went ahead and took them up on that just to kind of wrap everything up. My first one that I took was the FII, so the Flight Instructor Instrument, and I got an 84 on that one. And then I got a 76 on the IGI, the Ground Instructor. I did have some helicopter questions, which there can be helicopter questions in there. And of course I got some. So I passed both of them with, above 70 a good bit. So that was very welcomed in this situation. So the biggest difference to there wasn't nearly as many approach and departure plate stuff as there was in the first one. And when I say the first one, I mean the instrument rating that I took yesterday. I don't know if there is a real standard of we do this many questions out of this section, this many questions out of this section, like navigations or holding patterns, or federal aviations always have this many questions, because these two tests also, they don't require endorsements. And the instrument rating was 65 questions, 60 which are graded. These were 50 questions, and I'm assuming that they grade all 50. So a little bit shorter test. Yesterday it took me a little over an hour to finish that one. Today, each one of these took me about 35 to 40 minutes to complete these. So I feel so much better getting all three of these done now and passing all three on the first try. I've got to go and pick up a car and drive it all weekend, so I'm not really going to be able to study that much. I'm going to work on some other shorts for you guys, so hopefully all of that will continue to cruise right along. If you've been enjoying the Today in Aviation History, I'm going to be working on those. So I appreciate all the well wishes and riding along with you guys. These three tests over the past 2 days have been intense. I would say that if you are prepared for your instrument rating test, the IRA, you are good to go on FII and IGI. I didn't do anything different or special for any of those. The testing supplement, even in the front that they give you, you get like a book, right, that have all the figures and things like that. When you're doing your test prep, those figures and things like that, they are just in one book. In the very front of the book, it lists out everything that book is used for, and all three of these tests are obviously listed in the same book. So you're getting pretty much all of the same test bank. Like I said, with the ground instructor, I did have one or two helicopter questions that were in there, and I just applied my knowledge the best I could. But for the most part, I'm happy with where I'm at. If I didn't have to be so quick on all of this, I think I would be a little disappointed with my scores. But at this point, I'm just happy that I'm passing them. I'm about to go and live this for the next 6 months, right? So I feel confident that I'm only going to get better at the knowledge. And some of the stuff, the way that they phrase questions when you guys are doing your test prep, you'll see they kind of set them up in funky ways, like where you know the knowledge, but to apply it in the funky way that they're asking you is it's very tricky. I think the way that they set up some of these questions, where when you're actually flying and you're doing it and applying that knowledge, I don't think you have the same kind of issues, right? So with all of those things said, I'm happy with where I'm at and the rate that everything is going. So if you are preparing to take your test, I wish you nothing but passing grades and lots of hundreds. Hope you ace it. Take the time, study through, especially if you're not on a schedule like I am. Go ahead and really make sure that you're getting high 90s multiple times as you're taking your practice tests, and you're kind of going all across the board, and you can do each segment that way, and all of that. So appreciate you guys tuning in for this one. Hope you found some value in this. 3 tests, 2 days. Awesome that I passed all 3 of them. So since I'm in New Bern, in case you guys didn't know, New Bern is the home of Pepsi. So it was originally founded here. On top of that, it was originally called Brad Soda. Fun facts. So I'm gonna go see if I can't find a Brad Soda to celebrate, since Brad is soon gonna be taking some flight. I'm getting more and more excited. The more of these things that I'm passing, the more excited I'm getting. I hope you feel the same way along your journey, and I will catch up with you guys on the next one. And until then, keep the grass off your wingtips, aviators.